A wise woman is not going to bring a gangster in the house. Because a wise woman understands that these are my children, even if the sperm donor isn't there, but these are my children, and I'm going to protect them at all costs. That's a wise woman. Because so many times we've had children that have gotten violated because the mother in the home wasn't wise. She brought in all kinds of men that had other agendas. You thought they were all stuck on you, but they saw you had little daughters or a little daughter in the house. And they, instead of them being there to be the man of the house, but they were actually a predator in your house. And so then, because of this, many times, young girls have gotten violated as little bitty girls, and they grow up with issues because the mother wasn't a wise woman. You see, but when you are a wise woman, you understand that even when it comes to relationship, I will not begin a relationship, number one, without God's approval. And if he's going to have God's approval, then he has to be a man of God. And that means he has to be in the church, not at the church, but in the church. And if he's not in the church, then he cannot begin a relationship with you, or should not, because wise women don't play that. Wise women understand that as the protector of your children, you got to understand that there's many kinds of men out there that have different agendas. And so a wise woman makes sure her child is protected at all costs. A wise woman makes sure that her children are properly fed, no matter how bad the situation gets. A wise woman knows how to take care of her children. A woman knows how to set the right example for her children. A wise woman understands that when it comes to this life, that if you're going to excel and to exceed, then you have to have God on your side. A wise woman would never put confidence in man above God. You see, I've seen some times, and I did times, there's some women that made some unwise decisions that became the foolish woman who tore down her house. That kind of woman is the type of woman that will not come to church and bring her kids to church. That kind of woman is the kind of woman that will allow her kids to run around and play all day, time and night without curfews, and let them go over everybody's house without checking the neighbors out to make sure that the neighbor teaches something of value, and the neighbor doesn't allow things to happen in their house that you don't approve of. A wise woman makes sure these things are in order before she allows her children to go next door. A wise woman watches for her children. A wise woman is there to support her children and to encourage them when they feel down and out, to let them know that you're the best and you're going to be the best that you can be, that God is for you. A wise woman tells her child that you are great even when they feel like they're not. A wise woman tells her child that you're going to excel and you're going to exceed even when they're in their moments of failure. See, a wise woman knows how to change the atmosphere of the home, simply because she understands what it takes for the home to be productive and to be to excel. So a wise woman knows exactly what the temperature of the home is in the spiritual sense. That's why wise women and children cannot get over on them. A wise mother can tell when the daughter been sneaking out at night, even when she didn't see her. A wise woman knows when her son been smoking weed, even when he sprayed on perfume or cologne to hide the smell. Simply because a wise woman is in touch with God. A wise woman is a praying woman. And when you are a praying woman, there's nothing that the enemy can get over on you. I remember a woman, before I get a little too fast when talking about wise women, I remember a woman from back home. She's one of the wisest women I've ever met, and she never preached a sermon. And she was in the church. She was a godly woman. But I know most of the time people think only wise women are preachers, but that's not so. I know some foolish preachers that are women. But this woman was a wise woman, and she was a godly woman and a praying woman. I remember I used to go to her house, and I was a teenager, around 15, 16 years old, and I would go and cut her son's hair. She had about 8 kids, and I would go and cut her younger son's hair. And when I would go and cut their hair, and there was just something about the household. As a young man, when I would walk in that house, you would just feel the presence of God. And to me at this time, it was kind of frightening because I didn't have much experience in understanding the power of God. I was in the church, but I was still learning about experiencing the presence of God. But I know every time I walked in that house, I just felt like repenting. You know, it was just that anointing. You know, when you walk in that house, you know, oh my God, what have I done wrong? You know, you want to kneel down and start repenting. It's just like, I don't know, like you just get undressed when you walk in there. That's how anointed this woman's home is. And I'm telling you from experience. But I could not understand, well, why is it that every time I just go in that home, I just feel naked. You just want to find something. Like Adam when he sinned, all of a sudden he knew he was naked. He went and hid himself. But it was only after he sinned, because sin exposes you, know. And so at that age and that time, and I would go to that house, and I think I started around 15, and I was still trying to get to the level where I needed to be. But when I would walk in there, and there was time I know I hadn't done nothing, but I just still felt naked, because that home was a prayed up home. This woman would spend all-nighters in that home praying. Her children would tell me, say, oh, Mama was up all night praying. We couldn't hardly sleep. We were trying to go to school, but Mama was walking in and out of our bedrooms all the way down the hallway, praying over us. And she would come and touch us in the middle of the night, laying hands on us. That's a wise woman. Lord, protect my children. Lord, save my children. That's the kind of woman she was. And I remember the time I had come over and I was cutting her son's hair. And she walked in the door, and I didn't know what had happened before I got there, but I know nothing happened while I was there. But while I was there cutting her son's hair, she walked in the house and she asked all of her children. She had a couple of kids that was older than me, but the majority was under me. Her son, one of her sons, a third child, I think was my age, but the other ones were younger. And she walked in the house, and she said, what have you all been doing today? And I was cutting her son's hair in the kitchen, and I heard her say that to her other kids. She wasn't talking to me because I was in the kitchen, but she was talking to the ones that was in the living room where she walked in. And she looked around at all of them, and she said, what have you all been doing while I was gone? Did I tell you all to stay in, to do this? And she had different things she told each one of them to do. And some of them said, Mother, I didn't do it. No, Mother, I did exactly what you said. And she said, don't lie to me. She said, wait a minute, I'll be back. She went down the hallway to her room. And my estimation, about 15 minutes. She came back out. She said, you did this at this time, you were there, you did this, you left out. She told every one of them what they had done to the T, until they just started shriveling, until they cried and said, Mother, you're right, I'm sorry. We did it, we sneaked out the house. They had done all kinds of things before I got there. But this wise woman who was a praying woman, who had a relationship with God, her own children could not deceive her because she had a relationship with God, and she knew when she walked in the house they had done wrong. And she told them, she said, now you all know you can't fool me. You all know that I'm a praying woman, and you all know that I have a relationship with God, so why would you even try? And from that moment on, I remember being even in the kitchen and hearing it and seeing the faces, the look on the kids' faces. I turned around to look at them.